When this horror thriller from young director Steven Spielberg premiered in June of 1975, crowds were literally lining up around the block to be among the first to see it, and hence the term and business strategy of blockbuster was born. The $9 million production would eventually gross $470 million, making it the highest-grossing film in history, at least until Star Wars came along a couple years later. Loosely based on Peter Benchley's novel of the same name, the PG-rated story follows Roy Scheider as the newly appointed police chief of a fictional island town who must deal with a massive shark terrorizing its citizens. Despite the obvious dangers, he's pressured to keep the beaches open by Murray Hamilton, the stubborn mayor, more concerned with tourism than safety. Later, the expertise of crazed local fisherman Robert Shaw and high-strung marine scientist Richard Dreyfuss are called in to assist with the growing threat. This core trio blend together splendidly, carrying entire scenes with their antagonistic chemistry and camaraderie. Their performances are what really sell the implausible premise, including a haunting monologue by Shaw about the terrifying sinking of the USS Indianapolis. Although the focus is largely on them, there's a large supporting cast that deliver great moments of their own, from Lorraine Gary as the steadfast policeman's wife to Lee Ferrero as an angry, grieving mother of one of the victims. Although the first 73 minutes of the 2-hour film take place on the island, it's the final act set on the open waters of the Atlantic Ocean where the real meat of the story is. Chronicling the adventures of man against beast, it's an awesomely fun, prolonged, but well-paced payoff to the first half of the film. They harpoon the 25-foot great white with large yellow barrels to help track its movements, but are positively shocked when the monster manages to submerge with 3 of them still attached. Nicknamed Bruce after Spielberg's lawyer, the deadly fish was brought to life with a combination of waterlogged animatronics, puppetry, and real-life footage of actual sharks. But the techniques used gave the crew so many problems, Spielberg was forced to cut the shark's on-screen appearances down drastically, which serendipitously gave Jaws its famous less is more approach, borrowing inspiration from earlier Hitchcock works. Instead of seeing the terror early, the victims are photographed beneath the waves from the ominous point of view of the shark itself. In fact, Dreyfuss once said of the notoriously troubled production, "We started the film without a script, without a cast, and without a shark." When Bruce finally makes his grand appearance, the quick cutback to Scheider might be my all-time favorite reaction shot. Quickly realizing they're in over their head, the chief then advises, "You're gonna need a bigger boat." Filmed on location in and around Martha's Vineyard, Spielberg fills the wide anamorphic frame, one of the few times he's filmed in that format, with bright colors and deep focus backgrounds. Long takes carefully utilize the movements of the actors to adjust the focus of the shot without ever cutting. An unbroken conversation on a moving barge is particularly impressive, as its dynamic background and careful blocking keep the 2-minute scene interesting. This meticulous yet patient style has been a trademark of Spielberg's work ever since. But it's not the expertly done cinematography that gives this picture its personality, but instead the little moments of charm and serendipity sprinkled throughout. Like when the guys compare battle scars, or when Scheider holds Dreyfuss's glasses in his mouth, or the faint glimmer of a shooting star as the men prepare for battle. Of course, you can't talk about Jaws without mentioning its Academy Award-winning score. The now iconic themes from legendary composer John Williams are brilliant in their simplicity, utilizing everything from strings, woodwinds, and even a xylophone to make their mark. But it's the oft-repeated leitmotif of the shark itself, alternating between quickening tuba notes that really deliver chills. It mixes wonderfully with the impeccable sound mix and tight editing, which also won Oscars as well. The high-concept film spawned 3 sequels, theme park attractions, a dozen video games, merchandise, countless imitators, an annual week of programming on the Discovery Channel, and even a musical. The grandfather of all summer blockbusters that redefined beach culture for an entire generation, it has remained timelessly enjoyable for 40 years. Spectacularly crafted, seamlessly acted, and endlessly exciting, Jaws is a magnificent and riveting adventure for all ages. And here are 6 of your reviews. An obvious classic, everyone loved this film. In fact, not a single person rated it lower than an 8. We both agree Jaws is an amazing movie.